alright, man. I know I didn't post a video on the Warriors-Knicks game, but I just don't want to post videos when the team doesn't even try, when they don't show up or anything, so, forgive me for that, but the Warriors, they played a solid game tonight against the Grizzlies, and I will say, actually, before we get into that, congratulations to Klay, who's been playing absolutely outstanding basketball. In that Knicks game, tied his career high in assists with 8. He very nearly had 9. He's been playing fantastic basketball, so only shout out of the last game goes to Klay. But into this one, the Warriors beat the Memphis Grizzlies in San Francisco, 137-116. Obviously, we all know Ja Morant's out. Desmond Bane has just recently come back. There's a plethora of other injuries on this Memphis roster. It's mostly all their young guys, plus Desmond Bane and Jaren Jackson Jr., who have both been on and off with injury. So, take everything with this team with a grain of salt. Don't be too cocky leaving this one, and also don't feel too bad about winning this one. It's kind of a middle ground thing. Number one, energy was up. That's a plus. Very happy with the energy tonight. The building felt like it was rocking, even though there looked like there was a lot of empty seats. It still felt like it was a rocking building, which is rare because Chase Center, in my opinion, sucks in comparison to Oracle. Granted, I'm an A's fan, so there's a lot of Oakland bias here. However, the building was rocking. So, shout out to Chase Center fans. You actually showed up for once. 2, offensively, I thought the Warriors were absolutely stellar and borderline flawless. Now, again, the Grizzlies are not the best team to look at in terms of, how do you match up against them? However, for some reason, every time the Warriors play the Grizzlies, it's always this death match of horrendous basketball. Regardless of who's on the floor, it feels like it's always a low-scoring, ugly mess of a game, no matter who's on the court for Memphis or who's on the court for the Warriors. It's always been that way. It's either a complete blowout or it's just an ugly-ass game. Tonight, it felt like it was going to be ugly. Memphis was just chucking threes, and the Warriors were not really playing any defense, as per usual, which we're going to get into, but the offense for the Warriors was just humming. 42 or 43 assists tonight for the Warriors. Let me clarify that real quick. 43 assists for the Warriors tonight to only 6 turnovers. Not only is that a season high in assists, but I think that's a season low in turnovers. So that's pretty huge. And again, the Warriors just, for some reason, play terrible basketball against them. Tonight, They really forced their hand on them, and that was a good thing to see. I thought the Warriors just moved the ball incredibly. They weren't settling for bad shots. Everyone was getting looks. They were destroying in the pick and roll. They were getting good looks from 3. They were really taking advantage of the mismatches and really taking advantage of Memphis not really getting back in transition. So many transition dunks and breakaways, and it was great to see. It was great to see. It was a fast-paced game for the Warriors. They finally got to play in a game where, you see, when the Warriors play fast, they tend to win. When the game's slow and chippy and there's stoppages and the Warriors can't get out in transition because they can't get stops, it's bad. And again, the Warriors still gave up 116 points, which is not great. Especially because Ja's out and Desmond Bane has just come back. And not only that, but Desmond Bane had a horrendous night, 2 of 13 from the field for him for only 6 points. But you still scored 137. And at this point for the Warriors, I'm taking what I can get. You know what I'm saying? I'm taking what I can get. I'm going to be happy with that. However, before we get into all the player stuff, I do want to talk about the defense, because the defense, once again, was just really, really bad. Really bad, offset by a fantastic overall offensive night. You just see the Warriors struggle so hard in the paint defensively. We've talked about it ad nauseum, but even in a game like tonight, that problem was still there. Despite everything, Jaren Jackson Jr. only scored 1 3 and gave you 28 points and only 1 free throw. He scored nearly everything inside of the rim. On Draymond, on Trace, double teams, triples, didn't matter. Jaren got everything he wanted at the rim with ease. 2, driving kicks continue to be the absolute bane of the Warriors' existence. They don't know how to stop it. I know why they can't, but they just have zero defense for it, you know? And this is what the issue is, okay? And again, let me just give out the stats real quick. 18 of 49 from 3 for the Grizzlies for 36% from the field. Not great, but also not bad when Gigi Jackson gave you 35 points with 7 made threes. Santi Aldama gave you 27 with 6 made threes. Not Andrew Wiggins, I'm sorry. Desmond Bane still gave you 2. Laravia gave you 2. And then Jaren gave you the 1. Again, super short-handed roster. They don't have enough scoring, but they still lit you up for 18 threes. They had like 30 attempts by half, and not all of them were contested. Many of them were just wide open corner and wing threes, 0 contest. Everyone's congested in the paint. It was really bad. But the reason this happens, and we've talked about it a ton, the Warriors just don't have a center. TrayceJackson-Davis has been playing fantastic, okay? You're not going to hear any Trayce hate here. That's not going to happen. I think Trayce has been great. I think Trayce gives you a layer of basketball they haven't had. At halftime, I was reliving the glory days of 2020 Marquise Chris, okay? Marquise Chris was like my favorite player for an entire season, and then he broke his knee or whatever and then was never seen again in the NBA. Marquise Chris was great. And that gave the Warriors a layer of offense and of defense they hadn't had ever. Then Trayce comes in and does practically the same thing, but a little bit more awkward. You know, Marquise was a lot more flashy with the dunks. Marquise was a lot more flashy with the blocks, with the rebounding. Trayce is a lot more two-hand robotic, but still really good, really smart player. But he's only 6'9", just like Marquise Chris was only 6'9". You know, which means you're limited there. Doesn't matter what the vertical is, you're limited. It's just different when a guy sees a 6'9" center versus a 6'10", 11, 7-footer. I'm sorry, but it's the truth. You know, and that's, again, unless you're Jared Allen or Ben Wallace, you're just not, it's not the same, man. It's not the same. There are rare exceptions, but for the most part, a legit center makes a bigger difference at protecting the rim than an undersized center. Undersized centers are much better coming off the bench because you're playing against lesser talent, which means lesser talent aren't going to take a lot of risks around the rim, right? So the Warriors don't have a center right now, a legit center, and that means Draymond is having to take a brunt of all this defense in the paint in particular, and all these teams have at least one big man that can really do some damage, you know. We've already talked about the Western Conference. We looked at that Lakers game, and had the Warriors not, or had Anthony Davis not gone hurt, the Warriors probably lose that game. You know, Anthony Davis is just going to beat the Warriors up. That's facts. When they meet in the playoffs, guaranteed the Warriors are going to lose. So long as Anthony Davis is healthy, they just have they can't combat that. They cannot combat Anthony Davis. They have nothing to stop that. You know, same with the Nuggets. Same with all these other teams that have super skilled centers. The Warriors can't do anything. They're not big enough. And because of that, there's an overcompensation as far as defense goes. The Warriors are already a switch-everything defense. They've been that way for years. However, because their team is so young right now, a lot of the switches are poor in execution. Help defense is poor in execution. And in general, contests are weaker. They're not very strong, you know? Why? Because everyone is getting super close to the rim. You see the rebounding numbers for the Warriors, and it's great. The Warriors have been fantastic as a rebounding team, which was such a big problem for them the last couple of seasons. They really made an effort to stop having that issue, but that comes at a cost. You know, when you're floating around the rim, like, okay, teams are going to shoot the ball. We need to be able to get these rebounds and make it a one miss and get out in transition. When that happens, all a team has to do, all a player has to do is make that one extra read, and it's always going to be a wide open corner three. Strong side, weak side. The help defense is going to be dog shit. It's going to be late. It's going to be weak. Wide open corner three, wide open wing three. Happens every game. Plethora of them. Go look at any Warriors game this season, and I will guarantee you there's at least 6 or 6 to 10 threes that are just wide open. Wide open because the Warriors overhelp in the paint, and then there's no one to get the three, or it's an extremely late contest. You know, that's what it is. They're overcompensating for not being big enough, so they're all congesting the paint. One guy breaks the paint and drives. Everybody goes in, and then all he has to do is make one pass out, and it's over. Nobody's picked up. Nobody's rotated. Everybody has just sagged into the paint to try and help. You know, try and help Draymond. Try and help Trayce. You know, there's no confidence in that back line. Not because Draymond's not good or Trayce isn't good, but because they're simply just not big enough. You know, you don't see this happening with a team like Miami. You don't see this happening when Joel Embiid's playing with a team like Philly. No one's worried, you know, when Minnesota's playing. Nobody's worried about Rudy Gobert. Jaden McDaniels isn't sagging super far off. Why? Because he's got Rudy Gobert. You know, go in the paint. Go in the paint. Have fun. You know, go deal with Rudy. I'm chilling. I could stay out on the perimeter all I want. I don't have to go in at all. You know, the Warriors don't have that luxury. So everybody's constantly moving back, trying to help out and make sure the rim's protected. But then that's just leaving wide open shots. And even a team like Memphis, who's going to chuck, even though they don't have many guys who can shoot the ball, with guys like Luke Kennard out, Jaws obviously out. Again, Desmond Bane spent a good portion of the season out. Jaren's inconsistent. All these young guys, even them, they're still hitting nearly 23s on you, shooting nearly 40% from the three. Problem, you know? And on top of that, as I said before getting into that, Jaren Jackson still gave you 28, essentially all within the paint. You know, no matter what defense, no matter what you threw at him, he was still getting layups, not dunks, layups, because nobody could get over top of him. Nobody could put up a hand high enough to stop him. You know, that's a problem. The Warriors just don't have any counter for this. Until they get a legit center and start to build that confidence of, all right, we don't have to help as much. We can stay out more. This is going to be the same issue. You know, the Warriors forced some turnovers tonight. They were getting out in transition, causing steals, a couple blocks, but it still doesn't do much. You know, it still doesn't do much. They just don't have the quality rim protection, the size in the paint to really play the defense that we need them to play. Again, that stretch of games before the deadline, they just didn't face a team that had much of an interior presence in that stretch. Go back and look. They just didn't, you know? And now because they are, you see it. You see it. But that was the negativity. We got the negativity out of the way. Let's get into the good stuff. Player of the game, in my opinion, I'm going with Jonathan Kuminga. Slam dunk competition, please. Jonathan was everywhere offensively. Probably the most aggressive I've seen Jonathan. I've talked about it a ton when it comes to Andrew Wiggins, when it comes to Jonathan Kuminga. Those two have to be aggressive. They have to go out and try and score. Steph cannot be doing everything offensively. You guys have to step up. If you don't want to go out and make a trade to bring in a Jeremy Grant or a DeMar DeRozan or any of those other big name scorers at the 3, 4, or 5, fine. But these two players have to consistently score. They have to be aggressive and they have to make defenses respect them. And tonight, I thought they did a great job at that. A lot of Jonathan's points did come off of dunks, specifically in transition. However, he was running out there, and his dunks were aggro dunks. They were not the Jonathan Kuminga little chip-in dunks that we see him do all the time, where he shows his athleticism, but kind of teases you with it. No, tonight he was throwing power yams all night. Left hand, right hand, tomahawks, cockbacks. He was doing everything. Dunk packages you just don't really see from Jonathan Kuminga. So whatever someone on the Grizzlies said to him tonight, or maybe the last time they played, he didn't forget because he was showing up and showing out. Andrew Wiggins, another dude who had a fantastic night offensively. I didn't even mention Kuminga. 26 tonight for Kuminga on 12 of 17 shooting. Hit a couple threes. The mid-range is working a bit tonight. 5 boards, 4 assists, 2 steals. Again, getting out in transition. He forced a couple of steals in the passing lanes. Got out. No one can stop Jonathan Kuminga in the open floor. We've talked about that. He's unstoppable. All he has to do is a little bit of a euro. Nothing you could do. Nothing you could do. Once he's out, number one, he's already faster than you. You get a little bit of a recovery. All he has to do is that euro. Can't stop him. It's like Giannis. Andrew Wiggins. How many times have we seen the Warriors just once he hits that 20-point per game mark, boom. Now the Warriors are a problem. Now the Warriors offense is really humming. Tonight for Wiggins, 22 points, 10 boards, 3 assists, a block, 9 of 14 from the field, 4 of 6 from 3. He had an incredible one-handed catch in transition that he flipped up and in with the same hand. Pretty ridiculous. Andrew tonight was just, every time he got the ball, he made an immediate decision. There was no hesitation. There was no sitting around. What do I do with the ball? There was no Moses Moodying with the ball. It was just grab and go. Make a decision immediately. I'm going to shoot it. I'm shooting it. Not only that, but the shot looked pure tonight. Getting the legs into it. Really getting the arc on the ball. There was no line drive shots from Andrew Wiggins. Everything had arc. That's something I look at a lot. How does the ball look coming out of their hands? If it's a line drive, you're asking for more bad days than good days. But if you've got the arc under it, if your legs are in the shot, physics are on your side, right? Hence why Steph has so much success. Who else had a great game? Chris Paul. Chris Paul's been playing fantastic basketball. I said when he came back off the injury that I was a little bit questionable of how he was going to look. Obviously, Lester Quinones in his stretch of play, filling in for Chris Paul. Lester was great. Played great defense, making the right passes. Really looked solid out there. Great rebounder. However, Chris Paul came back and picked up right where he left off. He's been fantastic, and the offense has slowly started to pick back up for him, which was kind of the only thing we've been waiting for him for this season. The passing's been there, setting up the second unit's been there, and anchoring that second unit. But the offense has sort of been hit or miss. You might get a 14-point night, you might get a 5-point night. It's been a little hit or miss. But tonight, double-double, 12 points, 4 boards, 14 assists, 0 turnovers. 5 of 8 from the field, 2 of 3 from 3. Had the mid-range working, especially late in the game. Chris Paul's old, one of the oldest in the league. The fact that his legs are going the way they are in late game situations, huge. Huge. Obviously, being injured sucks, but for Chris Paul, that's kind of a nice thing. You got a lot of break, you got your body in better shape, and now you can head into the playoffs on fresher legs than a lot of other guys, especially at this age. That's a pretty big plus. So CP tonight was absolutely incredible. Had one of his better games of the season. And, frankly, a must-win game. So, very happy there. Speaking of getting your legs into it and, playing through the physical stuff, Klay Thompson. Klay has been a revelation, all right? I didn't think he could do it. Being honest, I did not think Klay could overcome the mental side of things. I thought Klay would be in the same boat as he was every time he mentioned, as I talked to Steve Kerr and, I'm in a better spot now and I can, and then it was just one game. Oh, okay. Made a couple nice passes. All right. And then the next game, chuck, right? The last 2-3 weeks, Klay has played unbelievable basketball. Whether the offense is going or not, he's super energetic. His energy's always up. Positivity, not just energy on the floor, but just on the bench. Positivity. He's not negative. He's not down on himself. If he's having a poor shooting night, he's impacting the game in other ways. His playmaking has just taken off. It's taken off. Like I said before I started all this, season high, or tied his career high in assists in the game against the Knicks with 8. Tonight he only had, I think, 1. No, he only had 2 tonight. But he made so many great passes. He only took a couple bad shots. A couple of them were late clock stuff, but for the most part, if he didn't have a good wide open look, he passed it. And then he got a better shot. Pump faking threes and then stepping in for the mid-range. Getting his knees into the jump shot. Arc on the ball. He looked great, man. Klay's been playing spectacular basketball. And this is something that excites me for the future. For the final few years of his career, dude, Here's $25 million. Come off the bench and just do this. Just do this, and we're solid. You know, this is great. This is a great layer to have offensively. 9 of 18 for him tonight. 5 of 11 from 3. 23 points to go along with the steal, and again, those 2 assists. 0 turnovers. 0 fouls. Played 25 minutes, and guess what? Steph only had to play 24 minutes, and he only had to take 9 shots and had 14 points. So finally, a game where the Warriors have enough offense to supplement Steph not really having to do much. You know, you just don't see that. Typically, if Steph's not going, this Warriors team is royally fucked. But Klay has been playing so well that, you know, it's making up for some stuff offensively. And I know they've had some other poor performances where the starting lineup has actually been the fault here. Again, in that Knicks game, Podziemski, scoreless, rough night for him. Draymond had a lot of really bad turnovers, also wasn't really scoring. Andrew Wiggins had a rough night. But the offense, you see the flashes. If Andrew Wiggins can just get to that 20-point mark, if Jonathan Kuminga can just be as aggressive as he was tonight, you know, Pod still only had 2 points as a starter. Still had a rough offensive night. Steph only had 14 points. But again, then you have Klay Thompson coming off the bench, shooting the ball efficiently, taking good shots, making the right plays. Trace being as efficient as he is, as he's been from the field, gave you 13 tonight. Chris Paul gave you 12, shooting efficiently. You just do this. All you need is the defense. All you need is the defense. And it's not going to be a Nuggets thing. You know, the Warriors are not the Nuggets where it's like, yeah, we can have a middle of the pack to even poor defense, but we have an absolutely unstoppable offense, so who cares? The Warriors don't have that, but they can make some noise if they can just have this consistent level of offense and just tighten up the screws a little bit on the defensive end, man. A little bit. Harder closeouts, you know, less congestion in the paint. Just, you know, scoot out to the wings a little bit more. You know, help a little bit less. Let Draymond be Draymond. And if you're on the weak side or if you're on the strong side and you see where Draymond is and you need to step out, communicate it. Make it known. Pick up. Corner. Let it be known that you're going to help. And things are going to be better. You know, they're not going to be great, but they're going to improve. And that's all you need. Just improve. And then you can make a little bit of noise in the playoffs. But even in a game like tonight, where a lot of happy stuff, a lot of good stuff, a lot of positivity to come out of it, big win at home, making up for a bad loss at home, it's the Grizzlies without Ja. You know? Bad team. Bad team. They play hard. Credit to them. Taylor Jenkins has them playing hard basketball as always. But translate this to a better team, the defense becomes a big time issue, man. It really does. So keep an eye on that stuff. Keep an eye on the defense. If you're a fan watching, make sure that's the point of emphasis you're looking at. How is the defense looking? How many wide open shots are the opponents getting? Are the Warriors able to mitigate some points in the paint? Stop them. Cut them off a little bit. You know, make them pick up the dribble. If they're able to do that, good things are going to happen. With that being said, if you liked the video, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what you thought about the game, how you thought about the players. Podcast stuff will be happening this weekend sometime, most likely, if not early in the week of next week. So be on the lookout for that. Next Warriors game, like I said to start this, I don't upload reactions to games where the Warriors just don't even try. It's just it's a waste of time for you and me both. You know, it really is. They're not trying. That Knicks game, I'm not talking about that. There's no criticism that can be levied outside of you guys just didn't show up. You know, you didn't show up. You went scoreless for the first half of the quarter. You turned the ball over 7 times in the first quarter. You didn't show up. So what am I talking about here? That's nothing to criticize. That's just like you guys didn't want to hoop tonight. You know what I mean? So I don't upload games like that. Sorry. I'm not into doing that. So a game like tonight, even if the Warriors lost, this is one where I would upload. So, yeah. With that being said, again, if you liked the video, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. We'll be back for the next one, hopefully. And, yeah, have a good rest of your week. Peace.